welcome to Persuasive Speaking. I'm Dr. Rick Merritt. We've discussed the various components of public speaking in other videos. Now we're going to put them all together for the persuasive speech. In this video, we'll discuss the 3 keys to persuasion, organizing your persuasive speech, and practicing your speech. Let's begin. At this point, you know how to develop a speech, and we're going to take an argument and make it into a speech. Persuasive speakers need to be aware of 3 key concepts: ethos, logos, and pathos. Aristotle discussed these concepts in his work called Rhetoric. He identified ethos as the credibility of the speaker. This includes your personal knowledge and experience, which you must tell an audience. For example, in an introduction to a speech on public speaking, I would tell the audience that I've been teaching public speaking for over 20 years and am a member of Toastmasters International, and that's my personal experience. Also, credibility is shown by the confidence you have as a speaker. Confidence takes time, but there are ways to improve your confidence pretty quickly. The easiest way is to practice, practice, practice. You've heard me say this a great deal. That's because it's extremely important. Next is logos. Logos is the logic you bring to your speech. It means having a strong claim. It also includes the reasoning and the evidence we've been discussing. You must have reasons and evidence for an audience to accept your argument. Logos and ethos will help you to persuade those who prefer logical arguments in the audience, but that's not enough. You must also consider the emotional aspects of the topic. This is where pathos comes in. Pathos is the emotional part of the argument. It includes stories that demonstrate the emotional impact of the claim. For example, if you're speaking on human trafficking, you can tell stories of people who have been kidnapped and forced into slavery of one kind or another to help make your point. Think of pathos as the human side to your argument. Pathos, along with logos and ethos, provide the total package for your presentation. You must cite all of the evidence you use in your speech. Cite the individual whose story you are telling and the organization from which you got your statistics. This helps ensure you are using all available means of persuasion. When one of these components is missing, the speech will not provide the audience with the full picture and will make your presentation less effective. Next up is organizing your speech. So how do you organize your speech? As you know, the 3 parts of a speech are the introduction, body, and conclusion. Essentially, you're telling the audience what you'll tell them, then you tell them, and finally you tell them what you told them. And you know this seems redundant, but it's also purposeful. When we hear things presented more than once, we are more likely to remember them. We will be looking at some persuasive sample speeches. These speeches will exemplify this process. Now let's take a look at the parts in detail. In the persuasive speech, you'll want to use a strong attention getter. For example, you may say, according to Polaris Foundation, a leader in the global fight to eradicate modern slavery, human trafficking hotline cases grew from 8,759 in 2007 to 40,987 in 2017. Quick side note, if your source is on the slide, you need also to provide the oral citation, such as the one that I just did. This will attract the attention and your audience will be able to relate to what you are saying. This also serves to introduce the topic. Then you need to note your credibility. I became interested in this issue when I was working on a project for my English class. I have done significant research and am passionate about this topic. You have established credibility or ethos, and your passion also establishes a level of emotion or pathos. Then you will want to give a preview. For example, note that you will be establishing the issue by citing statistics from trafficking reports and will tell Angela's story, who was a modern-day slave right here in the United States. In the body of the speech, you will want to establish the issue, provide the reasons and evidence, which is the logical or logos in the speech, and then you will want to tell the audience what you want them to do. Could be donate to an organization or volunteer. Be very detailed about the action you want from the audience. They will not be able to comply if they don't understand or know exactly where to go or what to do. Finally, you'll close the speech. As you remember, to get to the conclusion, you can and should say "in conclusion." This signals to the audience you are ending the speech. Then repeat what you want the audience to do and how to do it, and then end strongly. A strong ending could be, "Let's work together to end human trafficking." Now let's move on to the preparation for the speech. You will want to start on your speech now. Begin outlining the speech, and remember, do not write the speech out word for word. An outline will allow you to be flexible and to make changes. Also remember to use the library online databases to gather your evidence for the speech. You must include and orally cite the sources for all of your evidence in your speech. Once you have your base outline, practice and keep at it. Remember, practicing will make you a crime-fighting hero. When you practice, it's okay to make changes to the speech. However, it's best to go through the entire speech every time you practice. That way, you become familiar with the entire speech and not just the first few points. When I practice, I always time myself. I anticipate the speech will be longer than needed and trim as I'm practicing. This works well for me, and if something else works better for you, do it and share your success with the rest of the group. The worst thing to do is to wait until the last minute because that builds anxiety and will not result in an effective speech. This will not make you a crime-fighting hero. Remember to think positive thoughts and to tell yourself, "I am a well-prepared and confident public speaker." That's all for this week. I'm Dr. Rick Merritt.